So I'm going to nominate the Deputy Lord Mayor to chair the meeting. Anyone disagree or would like to nominate? I'm going to move that as a motion. I nominate the Deputy Lord Mayor to chair tonight's planning meeting. All those in favour? Aye. All those against? Declare that carried. You're in the chair.
I know. From the Lord Mayor and leave of absence from Councillor Posselt and Alderman Zuko. And I'd just like to start off with an acknowledgement to country. I'd like to acknowledge the deep history and culture of this place, and I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which the city of Hobart was built. I would like to also recognise that this was and always will be Aboriginal land, and I'd like to acknowledge that when we speak about generational impacts, we can understand the history of our country and how that impacts upon us and the generations that are here. I recognise the value of continuing Aboriginal knowledge and cultural practice and pay my respects to those who also do the same. Thank you. Can I have a confirmation of minutes, please?
So moved.
Confirmed by Councillor Harvey. Thank you. Consideration of supplementary items. There are none. Motion carried for confirmation of minutes. Thank you. Vote on that, didn't we? Thanks. Indications of conflicts of interest. Being none, I'll move to number 5, transfer of agenda items. Would anyone like to transfer anything? No. Being none, I'll move on to number 6, planning authority items, consideration of items with deputations. We don't have any, thank you. So we'll move into committee acting as planning authority. 7.1, applications under the Hobart Interim Planning Scheme. 7.1.1, 11 Marine Terrace. Can I have somebody just move that? Thank you.
Moved.
Councillor Harvey is there, and I'll just open it up for discussion. Any elected members like to make
I'll just note that this was deferred pending a bit further, a little bit more information. We've received that information. It's irrelevant to the planning decision, so I'm happy to approve this tonight.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? Being none, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.1.2, 63 Davey Street, 61 Davey Street, 186 Macquarie. Can I have someone move that?
Look, Chair, I will move this. I think it's a far better outcome than the previous 2 incarnations of this. So this third incarnation, I think, is far better. There has been some concerns from the Urban Design Advisory panel, but I don't think it was a deal. Some of their concerns weren't deal breakers. I'll just confirm that through you to the. What's your position? The director of. You're the director. You're the manager. Manager of planning.
Yeah, that's correct. So on balance, they supported the proposal. So there were some elements of kind of concern, but on balance, they were supportive of the revised design.
Yeah, I think the podium area looks quite nice. The height is less. I also picked up on the concern about the view from the gates of St David's Park, which does the building does block the view of Kunani. However, there's no entitlement to own the view or block. Not previous incarnations blocked more than this one, so I'll sacrifice that view to some degree, I think, by supporting this tonight. But I will still support it on balance of, that it's a good, fairly reasonable, good design.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Councillor Kitsos.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I support the proposal in front of us tonight. I'm really pleased to see the thought that's gone into this particular application and the fact that the previous iterations were higher and this one has come down in height and seems very reasonable within the urban landscape that it sits within. I did have a few questions about some of the concerns of the representation by the Royal Australian Air Force Association. So they had two particular concerns. One of them was the upgrade of a sewer pipe, which is required by the development and is going to cross the property, in fact runs beneath the property of 61 Davies Street. And the other concern was access to the rear of 61 Davies Street during construction. Can we have some commentary around that, please?
Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So let's have a look through to that point. The TasWater would be the authority in charge of the sewer itself. In terms of that kind of passing through, just look to the officer's response here. Just referring to their response, what point, just in the summary of the items there, which point was that under that you were referring to, sorry?
I'm looking at the representation. I guess in summary of what their concerns are is that during the upgrade of that pipe that they will lose parking to the site, and they're requesting some alternate parking in close proximity during that part of the construction phase. It might be easier if I ask if we're aware of how long the car park would be inaccessible to 61 Davies Street during this process.
Through you, Chair. Look, those times are hard to determine. There is a detailed construction management plan, so really, I suppose that detail would be addressed at that point, and that does require negotiation with adjoining sites and properties through that. So can't really confirm how long that would take, and I think I'm sure the applicants are not aware of at this stage at the moment until it gets to that construction stage. But there are, we have put the heavy duty construction management plan on there, which requires a lot higher level of assessment and requires a suitably qualified person to undertake that construction management plan, and involves kind of conversation with the adjoining property owners and to negotiate those outcomes, and with council as well. So yeah, hard to comment at this stage, but look, it definitely needs to get addressed at that construction management plan stage, which will be signed off at a later date.
Yeah, no problem. I guess I'd be curious to know whether there's precedent for us, waiving charging of on-street parking to allow a development to go ahead like this in our city and support the neighbouring organisations.
Through you, Chair. Look, that's something I can definitely kind of have a chat to our traffic engineers about when this comes through, just to flag it as a consideration to make sure it's kind of adequately managed.
That's all from me, Chair.
Questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, I looked through the report a couple of times. I didn't see any reference to any bike cages, so anyone doing cycle touring who was staying here wouldn't have a space to park their bikes. So I'm just wondering if that could be advised as well, that they consider some sort of bike parking arrangement within the car park for those who are touring Tassie by bike or bring bikes with them. So is that something we can include?
Through you, Chair. Look, that's definitely part of the consideration of the scheme. 1 second, I'll just have a quick jump to the assessment here.
I can't search the documents, I couldn't find.
Yes.
I was looking for.
Bicycle parking was definitely consideration here. 1 second.
Don't say it was the first paragraph.
Parking access. Okay, number of bicycle parking. Yes, it does. Yeah, so that you're correct. So it does not include any on-site bicycle parking. So look, that's some advice we could include on there. Look, the assessment's obviously taken into account. That's something we could add some advice on that.
And what? Okay, that could be added as advice. And the other point I noticed was signage for small cars in the basement parking. What percentage of the car parks are for smaller cars? of the, what is it, 39 car parking spaces, how many of those were for smaller cars? And is that because they're using a car lift and larger vehicles don't have access to the car lift, or it's a different type of lift that requires, that is needed for heavier cars?
Yeah, so there's 14 additional car parking spaces more than the maximum rate. So they are providing it in surplus of that.
But I'm just curious, how many of them were designated for small, and is that because they're using a car lift, or is it because of the size of the car parks? And is it to avoid having large vehicles clogging up the parking space?
Secret Makeover is back.
Sorry.
Without Carol knowing, we managed to transform.
Director, did you want to address that question from Councillor Harvey?
Oh, thank you, Chair. We do have somebody who
Yes.
is familiar with the project from the applicant side who may be able to assist the committee if you
Yeah,
prefer.
please.
Please.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. Thank you. My name's Phil Gartrell. I'm from Iron Ink Planning, prepared the planning report. In terms of the car parking arrangements, it's going to be a valet system. So vehicles will be brought into the front entry of the hotel, and then the valets will take them downstairs via the lift. The number of small car parking spaces, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but the arrangements are such that the valets will be bringing those cars down and up to avoid any guests having to navigate the lifts and any small spaces that we have on that lower level. So those are the arrangements that we think will work a lot better and avoid conflict and so forth between guests and...
Yeah, okay. Now that's explained to me, because I thought it was valet parking, but I wasn't sure whether that was an optional thing or whether all the cars were valet parking. So that's
Yeah, all valet.
Okay,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
No worries.
Under the condition of the engineering 6 one, is that right? The valet parking arrangement.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
included in the engineers included in the assessment.
All cars are valet
Yeah,
parking.
okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any further questions, commentary, anything to add? Right, being none, I shall put that. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Next is number 8.1, reports, delegated decision report. Have someone move that?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Kitsos. Are there any questions, commentary? Being none, we'll move that. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried unanimously. 8.2, planning advertised applications report. Have somebody move that, please? Thank you, Alderman Bloomfield. Any comments, questions? Being none, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Carried unanimously. 9, questions without notice. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do have a question.
Yes, Councillor Harvey.
I'll just see if I can find it. Sorry, anyone else? Just jump in.
If I may, the question while Councillor Harvey's...
Yes, Councillor Kelly.
I'm not sure if this is a planning matter, but I think it may have been referred to as one. There was going to be advertising on the bus waiting places against Franklin Square. We did have a workshop some while ago about transparency things there and some of the whole presentation on that. And I think that was requiring on planning, signing off on that. Are you aware of any of that or know anything about where we're at with that?
Through you, Chair. Look, I haven't been involved in that one specifically. Yes, I'm not sure where that there has been discussions with the Council's Heritage Officer regarding that and looking into the potential impacts. But yeah, I haven't had any involvement with that one personally, so yeah, not sure where that's at.
Yes, councillor.
Yes, it's in relation to Kerry Vincent, Minister for Housing, putting out a press release the other day saying that building approvals in Tasmania have hit a 2-year high. I'm curious to see whether or not, of all those building approvals, how many, what percentage, we can look at Hobart, have been granted a occupancy certificate. So there's building approvals versus occupancy certificates. Could we get that data, please?
Yeah, that's definitely something possible. We've looked at that in the past because that's kind of the start work notice and occupancy permits are probably one of the best keys to see what's actually getting built.
So, yeah, so at least we've hit a 2-year high. It'd be great to know whether they're getting built. Yep.
Thank you. Any further questions without notice? No, being none, we'll close the open portion of the meeting. If somebody, we need to move on.